Hi, I'm Colleen, and let's do an October TBR. Let's begin by saying that September absolutely punched me in the face. We started the month with our entire family getting COVID, and we are now ending the month with 3 out of the 4 kids with a terrible respiratory infection that has led to inhalers and breathing treatments. And it's not related to COVID, it's just something else. So, there are some things that were on my September TBR that are on my October TBR now because I didn't get to them, especially things that weren't on my Kindle, which was easier to read up in the middle of the night with children who didn't feel good. I don't really have this organized by genre like I usually do. Pretty much everything except like 1 or 2 things on this list is spooky-ish. So it's either a mystery or a thriller or a fantasy or a witch romance. Everything's kind of in that like Halloween vibe, which is how I like to read in October. So it makes sense. Let's start with a book I bought on October 29th last year. Knew I wouldn't have time to read and saved it for a year. And that is October Country by Ray Bradbury. This is a collection of macabre short stories. And the last time I read a short story by Ray Bradbury, it was All Summer in a Day in 6th grade, and it has haunted me ever since. So I'm looking forward to these. I'm not sure if I'm going to read the entirety of the collection or just pick some when I'm feeling particularly spooky on some of these evenings. But if you have a favorite one, please put it down in the comments so I can prioritize it. I don't really have any requests other than it makes me feel like October. And yes, I currently have 2 kids homesick right now, and that is why you can hear them. I am sorry. One of these days, you will not hear the chatter of children in the background. Next up, I've got Murder on the Orient Express by Agatha Christie, which I did have as like a maybe on my September TBR. I did go to the library and get it. I started it like 2 weeks ago, and I'm only on chapter 2. I just wanted to read the first chapter and see if I wanted to read it that day. So I will get to this month. It was on my classics TBR for the year, and I'm doing very poorly on it. So I really would like to add another one before I have to give myself a wrap up in December as to actually how well I did. Another book that was on my September TBR and I didn't get to was Her Majesty's Royal Coven by Juno Dawson. I did start this. I'm on page 18, so I didn't really give it a good go yet. But I do have to take 2 of my kids to the dentist this afternoon, which they're gonna hate. And so while I'm sitting in the waiting room, I am planning to bring this and get another chunk read. It's September 26th right now, so I have a few more days before the month is over, but I don't think I'm gonna have time to read this entire book because I'm reading some other stuff too right now. Before the end of September, I do think this will be on my October wrap-up. Thankfully, because my friends are waiting for me to finish it, who are in my book club, so we can schedule our meeting because they have both already read it, and I'm the last one. But so far, I like the beginning. There's like a battle-y witch scene in London. It seems like it'll be right up my alley. It's got witches in it, which is great for October, and it's got like a group of friends over a long period of time, which I always love stories like that. So I think I'm gonna like this one. Next up, I went to Half Price Books this weekend because I needed some serotonin after the month I've been having. And even though I was on a book buying ban, I did sell some books back and then spend more money than I earned. But one of the books I bought was Small Town Big Magic. And I don't know much about this other than it's like about a woman who finds out that she like failed this magic test in her town, and so it's appeared to her that like no one uses magic even though magic is everywhere. I read the first page because I wasn't sure if I was gonna like this or not because I liked the X-Hex, but I didn't love it, and it gave me a little bit of X-Hex vibes. But so I read the first page and I really, really liked it. I liked the tone, I liked the language, the feel of the book. So here's another witchy book that I'll be reading in October. Another book that broke my book buying ban in September, which I bought a lot of books in September. I'm going to do a fall book haul in October so you can see just how many books I bought. Book buying bans don't work for me. But I got Sally Thorne's Angelica Frankenstein Makes Her Match, which I have never read a Sally Thorne, but I have listened to her on the podcast Heaving Bosoms. And first of all, I love her voice because she sounds just like my neighbor who's from Australia. Like their voices sound identical to the point that I Googled what Sally Thorne looked like because I wondered if she was an author who like didn't put her face out there. And if my neighbor Lisa was her, it's not her. But this is the story of Victor Frankenstein's sister who decides to make her perfect match, you know, like put together dead bodies and make her match. And it seemed very fun. Again, I read the first page of this one when I got this one at Half Price Books. And like the section where like everything's brand new, but you can still get a discount on it, it's like in perfect condition. The first line is fantastic, so I'm going to read it to you. Here is a little known fact. Houses are proud of their observational skills. And I was just like, that sounds fantastic. I'm going to read it. Also, when I was like doing my TBR, I realized I was a little romance light. And you know me, I need to have a lot of romance to enjoy myself. And my last Half Price Books purchase, I think. Oh, well, my last one that's going to be on my October TBR, there's a different one that's going on my November, December, was Wild Witchcraft, Folk Herbalism, Garden Magic, and Foraging for Spells, Rituals, and Remedies by Rebecca Bayer, something like that. And here's the thing about me. I am a sucker for nonfiction books about witchcraft. Look how beautiful this is also. And I kind of chalk it up to the fact that I can sort of call it research. Okay, I love that I opened this page because I literally have something that looks just like this hanging on my wall over there. If you've ever watched any of the videos in which I sit at my desk, so more like my writing videos, you can see it in the background. It's like a wheel of the year. But since I do write books about witches, I do read a lot of nonfiction books about witchcraft, and I find them very fun. And when I saw this one, it was like on display because it's almost October. It's like, this is what I want to read this October. So I'm going to. So it's technically a nonfiction book on my October TBR. Oh, look at me. I'm so highbrow. Next, I have Called to the Deep by Desiree Nicolay. And I've been so excited for this because Desiree and I are Twitter friends, and we are both under the same publishing company. So this is City Owl Press. And first of all, I'm super excited to read this book. I talked about a novella she wrote, I want to say it was like January, called Given to the Ghoul, which she writes monster romance. So in that one, the hero's a ghoul. But in this one, the lady is the monster. So I'm very excited for that because that's very rare in romance novels to have a lady monster. It's usually a man monster. But the premise of this book is that this fisherman named Killian hears like a distress call, and he goes to it. And when he gets there, the boat, like everyone's gone except one woman who's got like hypothermia, and she's shaking and she has no idea what happened. So he takes her to take care of her. So Lorelai figures out that she is descended from human-eating mermaids. And yeah, let's see where their romance goes. I have to say, specifically for myself, something that I was so excited about is how beautiful this cover is, because it made me get really excited for like what my cover is eventually going to look like. Because I love how moody it is. I love the moon in the background. I love the mermaid tail. I just think it's beautiful. And I cannot wait to read it. Very excited. Okay, so there's two books that I am definitely going to read. Whether or not it happens in October or November is yet to be seen. But the first one is Into the Riverlands by Nevo. Here's the beautiful cover of it. And it's not out yet. It comes out, I want to say, like October 25th. And this is the third book in the Singing Hills trilogy, which I've loved. I've talked about The Empress of Salt and Fortune and When the Tigers Came Down the Mountain before on my channel. Also, I love Nevo. Siren Queen is one of my best books of the year. And this is the last book in the series, which makes me a little sad because I have really enjoyed it so much. But in this one, Chi, who's like the non-binary wandering monk collecting stories, is interviewing a group of near immortal martial artists. And I can't wait to read it. And I hope we have like a really beautiful day at the end of October, beginning of November, so I can sit outside and just like put myself in the world and not think about anything else around me. The other book that I will most likely not read in October is Resting Witch Face by Juliet Cross. And that is because it comes out on October 31st. And because you can't currently pre-order the paperback. And I want a paperback. You can't see it, but like up here, I've got the rest of the series in paperback. So I want it to match. So if by some chance I can pre-order it, it gets here at 7 a.m. on Halloween, I will read the heck out of it before my kids get home from school to trick or treat. But most likely I'll read it at the beginning of November as soon as I get it. This book is the technical fifth book in the Stay a Spell series about the Savoy sisters in New Orleans, who are all witches. And it is about Jules, who's the oldest sister. And throughout the entire series, we've had snippets of her and her ex, Reuben, who is a vampire. Jules is an extremely powerful witch. She's kind of like the witch president of New Orleans. And Reuben is an extremely powerful vampire, and he's kind of like the vampire president. And they used to be together, and you're not exactly sure why they're not together anymore. And now this is their second chance romance time. I'm very excited to read this. I'm not like a huge vampire romance reader anymore, mainly because I was like obsessed with Buffy and Angel when I was younger. And then I obviously like lived through the Twilight craze. I wasn't like a young adult. I was working at a bookstore and like had a midnight Twilight party. But I got off vampires for a while. But Julia Cross, I really like how she writes vampires more as like supernatural creatures than like the traditional vampire from like the late 90s. So I can't wait to read Resting Witch Face. I hope it comes in October. I'll keep my eye out if the paperback becomes pre-orderable. But if not, you'll definitely get it on my November wrap-up. I have one last hardcover or hard copy book with me that I might read. And I got it from the library, and it's A Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness. I did start reading this, and here's the thing. I read like 8 pages, and I thought I had read like 30. So it's very, very dense. I also have watched the first 2 seasons of the series, and I'm planning to watch the 3rd season this October. So I don't know if I'm actually going to read this book or if I just want to consume it in the form of a show rather than a book. This came out a long time ago, and when it came out, one of my favorite authors gave it kind of a scathing review, which is why I never read it, because it seems like it'd be totally something I would read, obviously. But if you are, this is kind of going to be a pitch for the show. If you're looking for something that's like witches, vampires, dark academia, time travel, I would definitely recommend watching the show. It used to be on, I think it was on like FX. It was on a channel that we had, but the 3rd season is not. It's on like a streaming service, and there's a 7-day trial. So I'm just going to pick a week and do the 7-day trial for the streaming service and watch the show like a crazy person, because it's fantastic. And Matthew Good's in it, and he's so handsome. Okay, so next let's talk about the arcs I have to read. And I'm just picking up my computer so I can open up NetGalley and tell you how bad I've been at doing my arcs, because the answer is very. So I'm currently reading Viviana Valentine Gets Her Man by Emily Edwards, and I'm planning to finish it before the month is out. I've been having a hard time reading that because sometimes when you get an arc, it formats real funky on your e-reader, and the formatting is a nightmare on my e-reader, so it's making it difficult because there's like lots of weird like font size changes and stuff like that. Doesn't mean that the book's not good. It just means it's much more difficult to read. So I've been having issues with that, to the point that I've been wondering if I should just like buy the book to read and not read the ARC version, because it's just making it very difficult for me to read. So there's that. Then I've also started The Song That Moves the Sun by Anna Bright. I'm about 5 chapters in of that. I think I'm under 10% in of that one. But that one I'm definitely not going to finish in September, so that's going to my October reads. I still have The House with the Golden Door by Elodie Harper and A Botanist's Guide to Parties and Poison. And here's the thing I've been feeling about my arcs lately. I think I've been too ambitious with the amount of arcs I'm getting, and that in the next year, in 2023, I'm going to super scale back on the amount of arcs I review, just because I do find sometimes when I'm looking to request arcs, I'm in the mood for something. And then when it comes to actually read, I'm not in the mood for that anymore. So like The Botanist's Guide to Party and Poison, that book came out in June. So it's been out for a really long time. And when I requested it, I really wanted to read it. I remember I was in like a big mystery kick. I reviewed several mysteries. I got like The Maid, I got The Woman in the Library, and then this one. And after I had done The Maid and The Woman in the Library, I wasn't really in a mystery kick anymore. And so that one is just sad and sad and sad. And I feel bad about that. Also, I think I request way too much fantasy on here, whereas I'm much more of like a romance arc reviewer. So that was like a really long tangent about my reviewing habits. But I do think in 2023, you might see a little bit less arc reviews from me, just because I feel guilty not staying on top of them. A lot of these books have already come out. The House with the Golden Door came out in September. The Song That Moves the Sun came out in June, which I don't think I got that till July, so I don't feel that bad. No, I didn't. I got it in April, so I should feel really bad. Oh my gosh, now I feel terrible. Okay, The House with the Golden Door I didn't get till June. Oh my gosh, this is terrible. I'm so far behind. So obviously I need to stop requesting so many arcs that aren't romance that I'm not going to read really quickly. But in in October, I am going to try to get at least The Song That Moves the Sun reviewed, and then perhaps A Botanist's Guides to Parties and Poisons, which is a historical mystery, or The House with the Golden Door by Elodie Harper, which is a historical fantasy. Next, I will obviously have my Book of the Month picks. Book of the Month hasn't released their list yet, but I currently have 4 credits, and you're only allowed to get 3 books a month, but I'm really hoping for a witch book and a thriller. So we'll see if I can get that. I don't think I'll get 3 books this month. I think I will probably stick to 2. I was looking through my backlist TBR, and I don't have anything super pressing on there that I've really wanted to get for a long time. So I will probably just stick with 2 or even 1, depending on what is released. I also have been starting to look through my books of the year and realized I have not read any literary fiction all year. So if there's a lit fic, I might grab it because I just feel like I'm kind of having a gaping hole in that particular genre, which I do enjoy reading. And last but not least, my audiobooks. So my big plan in September was to clean out my basement while listening to In an Absent Dream and Come Tumbling Down by Sean and McGuire. And of course, all these illnesses have really put a wrench in that. And I am planning on actually starting that as soon as I finish this video. But I'm about halfway done with In an Absent Dream. I might finish it before the end of September, but I don't know. I will say, I don't think I'm going to read Come Tumbling Down yet. I think I need to take a break from the Wayward Children series. And while I really liked listening to Beneath the Sugar Sky, I have not enjoyed listening to In an Absent Dream as much. Nothing against the story. I just haven't enjoyed it as an audio medium as much. And then lastly, for my audio, I really, really hope this month I can actually listen to a Shakespeare play because I really want to. So send me all the healthy children vibes you can so I can be home when they're at school and doing housework and random stuff while I'm listening to Shakespeare because I really want to do it. That is my October TBR. It's pretty ambitious, but I also think it has a lot of books on it that I'm going to fly through. So I'm pretty hopeful in getting the majority of them read. What is on your October TBR? Are you more of a horror, very scary, which obviously we know I am not? Or are you more like a cozy witchy or a spicy witchy or a thriller or a mystery or what? What's on your October TBR? Anything fantastic? Anything that's the same as mine? Thank you so much for hanging out. If you've made it to this point in the video, throw me a witch emoji in the comments. As always, I hope you are in the middle of a good book, about to start reading a good book, or about to start writing a great book. See you soon.